Hello, we are the team about video game software import. With me is Samantha Bustamante, Gustavo Mendoza, and I am Oscar Mario Garcia Gutierrez. To do this project, the main objective was to understand the first ability about importing video games from another country. What we conclude is that the best way to do it was to import video games from China.
So we also investigate other countries that have to do with the video game industry. We have in our principal countries United States, Netherlands, Germany, Hong Kong, Japan, and UK. We also classificate this product in him to see what's his system classification. And the number is 95045 00000.
We also did a SWOT analysis in order to know our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In the strengths branch, we have that it would generate over 2 million jobs in Mexico if this industry gets open. Also, that we have cheap labor cost. In the weaknesses, due it that there is not a deep explored industry, we don't own much experience and technology in this branch. And also Mexico has many agreements, but our majority partner is the USA. And the opportunities are that this is not a deep explored industry for Mexico, so this is a new opportunity for Mexico to explore this branch. Also, that we have high quality products that we should trade more all over the world, not only to the US. In our threats is that we have big competitors as China and the US in the gaming industry that are the greatest exporters of game software.
We used two types of analysis to determine what was the best country to make an import from. First, we used the Wigton method, and we had 4 variables: transportation, GDP of the country in terms of the video game industry, the inflation rate, and import taxes. The second one we used, it was about the pro-Mexico analysis. In the second one, we didn't find any information about neither Philippines and Paraguay. For this, in the other analysis, we determined that China was our best provider, and also because it's the first economy in the world that managed with video game industry.
The cost leadership that China has over Mexico in the gaming industry is that in Mexico, a video game is sold for 1,000 pesos to 2,000 pesos. Meanwhile, in China, it costs only 200 yuanes, that is equivalent to 581 pesos. We have clear difference in the price, and this is due to the technology advancement that they have in China. Also, based on the average price of the prices of the video games in China, we see a clear price differentiation of 35% with the prices of Mexico. Also, in the product differentiation, China is by far the #1 country leading in the gaming industry. The Chinese video game market is the largest worldwide. China had a revenue of 32.54 billion of US dollar, which represents 41.4% of the total video game market in the world. The closest rival of China is the US. But the technology used by the Chinese industry is more advanced and deeper and has more variety. Another huge difference between them is that China adapts to the Western culture to make it more friendly and more attractive, and to get more clients. In the international marketing plan, we established some condition that in order to import the software from China, the first one is the variety of products. The supplier must have different types of products that satisfies our needs and wants. Also, the price, it has to be a standard and established price in order to avoid the inflation on the product price. We have the translation because they we don't speak the same languages. We want our import products in Spanish or English, so it could be possible for us to understand and enjoy the product. Also, along with these conditions, there is necessary for the Chinese supplier to accomplish some import controls imposed by the Mexican government, such as the level is required. This is imposed by the Secretariat of Revenue and Public Credit of the Mexican Official Gazette of January 28 of 2016. Also, the standard certificate is required. This is imposed by the Secretariat of Economy, and the product is subject to the official Mexican norm.
A very important point about importing video games, especially from China, is about distribution channel. This refers about how the video game is being distributed from those who created to us who begin to import it. For example, in China there are two major factors. First one, that there is divided into what is known as the market, that is grocery retailers, and the second one, there is non-store retailing. In fact, the second one, this non-store retailing, has an impressive 85.9% of the whole market. This refers that in China, it's more possible to buy video games online than do it physically. This refers that to us, Mexicans who are trying to import video games, we can import those physical video games and making an advantage of those distributions that are trying to sell the video games physically and cannot do it in their home country. About the video game industry, the tariff is a very important thing to understand in order to know if the product is going to be expensive or not. In Mexico, especially about video games, the tariffs are not directly imposed about countries but the product itself. From China, it will be cost a total of 240 pesos by pre-validation fees, 62 pesos by additional fees to process, 316 by custom processing, and at 60% by the value-added tax, as we know it, IVA. Therefore, the total percent will be 680 Mexican pesos plus a 60% of the value in the IVA.
In our conclusions, we concluded that China resulted the best country to satisfy the needs of the Mexican market. Also, it is important to establish communication lines with the Chinese supplier to agree in the custom requirements. Another conclusion is that as we speak different language, it is very important to have a translator or in order to avoid misunderstanding.
Well, we also thought about some recommendations for the company or the people who want to do the process. And the first one should be to make a free trade agreement with China, because we still don't have one. And also to keep the price stable with avoid creating inflation in the country. The third one will be search for other competitors. In this project, we only comparate Philippines, Paraguay, and China, but we have lots of good options, as we previously say, like Hong Kong and Japan. As my classmate says, the software video game, it's a direct variable that will affect the market size, meaning that not everybody had a computer that's compatibility with all the type of softwares. Most of the times, it's more important to have safety in the process that we use than the external conditions. That's why it's very important to have a good contract about the whole processes. Culture is an important factor to care about. And finally, the graphics of the video game should be low, because if they're too heavy, the computers will not be able to process it even though the software is compatible. Thank you very much for your attention.